All right, welcome back. Tonight we're going to be doing sections 2.5 through 2.10. And the first part is about solving for a letter. So if you have an equation with all letters, being this, D equals R times T, if you want to solve it for T, which means you want to get the T totally alone, you want this to look like T equals something, then you would have to undo this R. So to get rid of that R next to T means multiply, so to undo that, we would need to divide. What you do to one side, you do to the other to keep the balance. So you have D over R equaling T, because those R's cancel, which is why we did that. So T equals D over R. That's your answer. Okay, in this equation, we're going to solve for W. So we want to get the W alone. So the first thing we would need to do is to get the M off of the denominator. So to undo division, we're going to do multiplication. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. So we have MS equals W minus 10E. So you see how M is like M over 1 and the M's cancel? So we still want to get this W alone. So now we would add the 10E over. And an MS can only add to another MS. So MS plus 10E is just MS plus 10E. And on the right, we just have the W left. So isolating that W is the answer, MS plus 10E. Isn't that cool? Math with no numbers. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about vocab. So a ratio is something like 4 to 7, also known as 4 over 7, also known as 4 to 7. Those are all ratios. Proportions are something like 4 over 12 equaling 5 over question mark. That question mark would be an X. A rate is something like miles per hour. And a unit rate would be taking it down to the individual solo unit. So in this whole section, we're going to be converting rates. So this says a seahorse swims at a rate of 52.68 feet per hour. So 52.68 feet per hour. I can make this whole thing over 1 if that's helpful. I need my answer to be in inches per second. So that means I need inches on top, and I need seconds on the bottom. But I need to do 2 different conversions. So I need to get this feet into inches. So since the word feet is right there, I need to put the word feet on the bottom so I can cancel those 2 words. And since I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot, then I can multiply by that, because 12 over 1 is just 1. But I need those numbers to convert it into inches. The next conversion is to get this hours into seconds. So first, why don't we get hours into minutes? There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. I put the hours on top because the hours is on the bottom, and I can literally cancel that word. And then I need to convert minutes to seconds. Since the word minutes is on the bottom, I'm going to put the word minutes on top so that I can cancel them, which means the word seconds would be on the bottom. And there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So if you look at all of your units, I have to cancel the word feet. The units end up in inches per second. And then you need to grab a calculator for this one, and you need to do the math. So on the calculator, 52.68 times 12 divided by 60, and then we have another divide by 60, would be, well, this calculator put it in fractions, so 439 divided by 2,500. So if you convert that to a decimal, which is probably what most of your calculators will give you, you'll get 0.1756 inches per second. Feet per hour to inches per second. All right, cross product means that anytime you have two fractions equaling each other, you could do this times this equaling this times this. So AD would equal BC. And the reason we can do that, if I rewrite this whole thing, A over B equals C over D, I want to get the D off the denominator by multiplying. What you do to one side, you do to the other, and those cancel. So now we have AD over B equals C. And then you want to get the B off the bottom by multiplying. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So do you see how I end up with the exact same thing? AD equals BC or CB. So let's go ahead and solve this. You can hit pause and try it real quick if you'd like. So we've got 5W equaling 9 times 3. So 5W equaling 27. So W equals 27 over 5. This is a totally fine answer. You can put it as a mixed number. So 5 goes into 27 5 times, which is 25, with 2 left over. So that's 5 2/5. But don't put it as a decimal, because decimals will end up giving you rounding error, and you don't want that. All right, this says similar corresponding. So I want to know what the height would be right here. This is my question, because I have this side, which corresponds to this side. Therefore, this side would correspond to this side. So I know that if I make that an x, I know that x over 7, this proportion, would have to be equal to this proportion, 1 over 0.2. So you could multiply like this if you want, the cross multiplying. You could also get rid of the decimal by multiplying the top and bottom by 5, whichever you think is easier. So 0.2x equals 7, and then 7 divided by 0.2 would be 35. So this height right here is 35 meters. All right, it says find 28% of 30. Now, of means multiply. So I want to know 28%. So 28 over 100, that's 28%, times 30. So it's the same exact thing as 0.28 times 30. So you're going to need your calculator. If a problem is given in decimals, you can put the answer in decimals. Most won't be. So since this is given in decimals, our answer can be in decimals as 8.4. The next one says what percent, that's our x, of 50, of means multiply, is means equals 33. So if we want to isolate that x, I'm just going to write the word multiply here instead of x. We would need to divide by 50. So x would equal 33 divided by 50, which is 0.66. That's the same thing as 66 over 100, which is 66%. All right, 40%. So I'm going to just put 0.4 right off the bat. You could put 40 over 100 if you'd like. Of, that means times, what number, that's our variable, is means equals 14. So if I want to isolate that x, we're going to divide by 0.4. So 14 divided by 0.4 is 35. And again, it was what number? So that's our answer. This is always a great place to check your work too. So you can do 0.4 times 35. Is that in fact 14? And it is. All right, the simple interest equation is this. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So this is time in years. This is rate in decimal form. And principal is the same exact thing as starting amount. All right, so if we are paying for 3 years, so I have I, find the interest, equals 3 is my time. On a $2,500 loan, that's my principal, that's my starting amount. At 11.5%, now remember, we need to put that in decimal. So that's, I gotta move this 3 over. 11.5 in decimal is 0.115. And I still have my 3. So that's I equals PRT. And then you would just put that in your calculator. 2,500 times 0.115 times 3 is 862.5. So the interest that we would have paid is $862.5 over 3 years. That's how much extra it cost us to get a loan at 11.5% rather than just paying cash for whatever $2,500 thing we had to have. Okay, so we have a base salary of $26,000 and a commission of 5%. And his sales for 1 year is $300,000. Find his total pay for the year. So if the base salary is $26,000, he gets that no matter what. And then he gets 5% of his sales. So 5% is 0.05, and he sold $300,000. So 5% of $300,000, 0.05 times $300,000 is $15,000. And then if you do the $26,000 plus the $15,000, you get 41,000. And this is why sales jobs can be great and why they can be not so great. If you're talking $300,000 in sales, depending on what you're selling, it could be quite a lot. If it's candy bars, it could be like 300,000 candy bars. All right, find the total cost for a $30 shirt, including the 6% sales tax. So when you go to the store and your shirt's $30, you have to pay the $30, and you also have to pay 6% of $30. So 6% of the $30 is $1.80. So $30 plus $1.80 is $31.80. Now there's a little bit easier way to do that. Remember that distributive property? I can take the 30 out, and I'm left with 1 plus 0.06. So if I multiply 30 times 1.06, I also get $31.80. This 1 means that you're keeping the $30, and the 0.06 means you're paying 0.06 extra. So anytime you have an increase, you're paying more, you can do 1 plus the rate, and that's what you multiply by. All right, to find the percent increase or decrease, we're going to do the amount of increase, decrease, divided by the original amount. So amount increase divided by original. So 50 to 60, we have a $10 increase because that's 60 minus 50, divided by the initial amount, which is 50. And 1 over 5, or 10 over 50, is 0.2. And 0.2 is the same as 20%. So that's a 20% increase. The next one is a decrease, so it's the amount of decrease divided by the original. So we have 30 minus 22.5, which is $7.50, divided by the original amount, which is 30. And if you use your calculator, you get 0.25. So that's a 25% decrease. Should probably put decrease and increase so we're more specific. Basically, if you want to check and see if you did this right, if you do $30 times 0.25, you should get the amount that you need to subtract. And you get 7.5. So that's right, because we lost $7.5. And the last slide for tonight says find the total cost of a $46 item with 6% sales tax. So we would just do our 46. And let's go ahead and do that 1.06. Which is $48.76. That's what you would pay total. And then it says find the sale price of a $70 item at 25% off. So we would do 70 times 0.25. And we're going to get $17.50. So this is how much money we have to take off. So then if you do 70 minus $17.50, you're going to get $52.50. So that would be the sale price. This one doesn't ask about tax, so we are done. Another quick little tidbit with that is if you multiply 70 and you do 1 minus the rate, since it's a decrease, you would do 70 times 1 minus 0.25. So if you multiply 70 times times 0.75, you also get 5250. It's the same reasoning above, like the one above. But we did 1 plus the rate times the $46 because it was an increase. That's how we got our 1.06. 1 plus 6%. So hopefully that is sitting well with you. This is probably the hardest section we've done, but it's definitely doable. And you can... All right, have a nice evening.